Back here in WICR. Watch us live on Ustream.com or tune in on live365.com. Just search WICR, Iona College Radio. John Stanko here with Kevin Barnett. This is the BS Report. We just got done talking a little bit of the Oscars, changing topics a little bit, and then we finally segued beautifully into the MLB spring training background to see what was happening there. Now it's time to go to Kevin's forte, that which is the NFL offseason. Free agency set to begin. Franchise tags were placed on only 4 players. Interesting enough, Kevin, what are some headlines you see heading into NFL free agency?
Honestly, a lot of people are talking about. I'm just looking at some of the list of players. There's not too many breakout big time game changing skill players. The biggest one was Jimmy Graham, who was franchise. But, a lot of teams would have to give up a lot to get Jimmy Graham, and I don't see him leaving New Orleans anyway.
You don't see anyone giving up 2 first-round draft picks for him?
No, I don't. He's good, don't get me wrong. He'd do wonders with a guy like Mr. Brady,
I know.
And Mr. Manning, But
I would tell you right now as a Patriots fan, I would give up those first 2-round draft picks, those next 2 first-round draft picks, for Jimmy Graham now.
I would not, honestly, if I were the New England Patriots, because I think Tom Brady only has about 2 years left.
Exactly. You get him. You get Jimmy Graham for 2 years.
You got to build for the future, though.
With 2 years, you give Jimmy Graham, Ron Gronkowski, and that double tight end set, unstoppable. Doesn't matter what wide receiver. It would matter what wide receiver.
I can't see it, honestly.
It won't happen, but I can dream.
Yeah, you can. But, Tom Brady, realistically, Tom Brady has only 2 years left. Do you think Ryan Mallett stays the New England Patriot? You think he will be traded?
I think he's going.
There were rumors of the Houston Texans being interested.
I would get rid of him.
If I were the Houston Texans, I would kind of look into that, though, honestly. Apparently, they were interested in Ryan Mallett and Danny Amendola, who quite frankly, I'm still surprised is with the New England Patriots right now.
I'm not. I think they liked what he showed playing through injury. I think Bill Belichick appreciates that.
I think Julian Edelman had a better year, though, and Julian Edelman right now is a better wide receiver.
I know. I hope they re-sign him.
I think he will stay, honestly.
I really hope they re-sign him badly.
I think he'll stay. I think that the New England Patriots should go after. If I were the New England Patriots, I would not go after Eric Decker, because Eric Decker will get number 1 wide receiver money, which he shouldn't. After that Super Bowl he had, no. And Richard Sherman was on him for the most part.
I know who you're gonna say the Patriots should get.
Yes, I know you're thinking it. I'm gonna say though, Eric Decker is gonna get number 1 money. Put it this way: Richard Sherman was on Eric Decker. He was not on Demaryius Thomas. Hence, Demaryius Thomas had a monster game in the Super Bowl, and he's going to get a big payday from the Denver Broncos. Rightfully so, he should get a big payday from the Denver Broncos because he is their best receiver. Eric Decker, though, I think is going to sign, with the team. I would say he might stay in division. I could see him surprisingly go to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Really?
Yes. They need a number 1 receiver, if you really think about it. Him and Dwayne Bowe, I think he kind of fits that offense well, though, kind of like the West Coasty offense.
Okay.
Kind of short passes, screens with Alex Smith. He's not a deep threat by any means. He's not a fast guy.
I can see that. I was honestly thinking the San Diego Chargers.
Really?
I was honestly thinking.
So we agree on the in-division.
We agree on the. I think it's an interesting idea.
He goes back with Mike McCoy.
Exactly, and I think that if you add the emergence of the young wide receivers from San Diego, Keenan Allen, and then you give them a veteran guy, Eric Decker. But I don't think San Diego will pay first, top tier wide receiver money for him. I think Decker would have to take a pay cut to go there. But I think it'd be dangerous because that offense was pretty good last year. At the end of the season with Keenan Allen, you had another threat to Phillip Rivers, who had a resurgence last year. I think that offense gets a little scary.
Keenan Allen, I think, showed last year, though, honestly, that really you shouldn't. I really, unless how good they're going to be, you don't really take a wide receiver in the first round. I really don't think, unless they're going to be like a Sammy Watkins, if they are going to be because you showed guys like him just can be are hidden gems. But I know who I think the New England should get. It should be Hakeem Nicks. I think. Yes. I think he would do wonders with them. I thought he was interested in San Francisco, but they re-signed Anquan Bolden, which makes sense because the connection he and Kaepernick had was very good. I don't think he's going to Carolina, which was rumored for a while. I don't see him going to the Jets, Hakeem Nicks.
Well, okay, but both Carolina and the Jets desperately need a wide receiver.
They do.
Both of them are in desperate need of an outside threat.
I think Hakeem Nicks, to be honest, he says he wants to stay a Giant.
I don't think the Giants will offer that.
They don't want him, though. They don't want him
I don't think they'll offer that.
They paid Victor Cruz. At the time, everyone was kind of a little bit upset that they gave Cruz the money instead of Nicks because everyone thought Nicks had an injury, a bad year because he was injured. But it just shows the Giants knew what they were doing by which receiver they gave the money to. They made the right choice on which receiver to give that money to.
Yes.
And they rightfully gave it to Cruz. I just think, dude, he needs a new set. He needs a coach like Bill Belichick. Yes, he's had a guy like Coughlin.
I mean, aren't they the same type of coach though?
Not really, honestly, because I mean
they're still more old school than most of the coaches.
They
in the
are,
NFL.
but I think he would benefit from a different voice though. Belichick is not the same voice as Tom Coughlin.
No.
He's not. I think he would be better off with a better voice, and he would. Tom Brady is a better quarterback than Eli Manning, and I think honestly, him and Brady will do wonders together. He just needs a change of scenery. Hakeem Nicks.
I would not mind having him. I'm not sold on him being as good as you are. I admit he'd be he'd be a good addition. Don't get me wrong.
How many did you really see him play? His first 3 years of
we're great, but then he last year was not good at all.
Because he was terrible last year.
Exactly, that's what scares me. Like last year was really, really bad.
I mean, because 2 years ago he had a very injury-filled season. The thing was he shouldn't have been playing all the time he played 2 years ago. His 4 seasons, he shouldn't have been playing.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they could have carried over into this year. He was definitely apparently fully healthy. I think his heart just wasn't in it, honestly, because I think he says he wants to be Giants. I think he's just saying that to say the right thing. I don't think he wants to be with the Giants, though. I think that he really wants to change the scenery. He cost himself a lot of money. He really did. He was going from a guy who was getting paid big bucks at the end of his rookie contract to a guy who's maybe going to get middle dollar on.
I ask you, Jason Avant was not re-signed or was released, by the Philadelphia Eagles. I think he's a quality wide receiver. Not top tier at all, but I think he knows the game. He's been around for a while. Like he's been around. He's caught passes. He knows what to do. I think he could be a good addition to someone. I want to know if you agree.
I think he's definitely reliable.
Yeah. I mean, he'd be like a good 3 wide receiver on the team.
I can see him for the New York Jets actually. Because he's very familiar with Marty Morningweg, who was the Eagles' offense coordinator for so many years. Avant was on the team for 8 years. So Morningweg, Avant really didn't mesh well with Chip Kelly's system. So I see Avant maybe as a help with Geno Smith's development. Maybe.
Are you surprised the Eagles re-signed Riley Cooper to the deal that they did?
Absolutely not. The connection he had with Nick Foles, and let's be real here, Cooper was not going to any other locker room.
Yes,
he was only accepted really in the Eagles.
This is what boggles my mind is that when Riley Cooper made those comments in the offseason and was frame marked as a bad person, just he'd be a turmoil for disaster. But now he resigns and no one's that kind of irked about it. I think that boggles my mind, the short-term memory of people.
He made up for it on the field.
Short-term memory. It's what you're doing for me now. It's not what you did in the offseason saying what you said.
Once Nick Foles took over, he had a connection with Nick Foles, and he made it for he was fantastic in down the stretch, and one of the reasons why they made the playoffs. When he filled in and did an admirable job, did really well. He made the plays on the field that he needed to make. So I still think he can get a haircut, but obviously, I think that's all in the past now. I don't think he was going to any other locker room because I don't think people would have respected him. The Eagles, look, I still think from what I hear, a lot of teammates still have trouble accepting him, but the Eagles teammates knew him before it, so I think they're more prone to forgiving him than another team would be. So I think that was a good move on both parts.
Okay.
Stay in Philadelphia and then keep a guy who put up good numbers for you last year.
Now, running backs
That's
out
what
there.
I was just going to.
Running backs out there, there's not many, but the front runner is MJD. No longer in Jacksonville. Where does he wind up in your mind?
I see him going to maybe your New England Patriots as a fit, maybe.
Really?
I mean, hey, they did it with Fred Taylor, honestly. I'm trying to think of teams that like to load up on running backs, honestly. I mean, San Francisco maybe, but no, they were because they did that a couple years ago. But no, San Francisco's not the right team. I don't know if the Chicago Bears cut Michael Bush.
I don't know that.
I don't
either.
know if they did. I'm trying to look. I don't see him on the list down here. Maybe the Houston Texans. As a fit because they are losing Ben Tate.
Yeah.
And Arian Foster isn't Mr. Healthy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think of other fits. Maybe he can complement Reggie Bush up in Detroit.
I mean, that'd be the ultimate power versus,
Receiver,
agile. Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Reggie Bush had a phenomenal year last year.
Except for the fumbles.
Yes.
Fumble-rooski.
Was he on any of your fantasy teams?
Yes.
Oh,
a couple of them.
He's still good, though. He had a very good year, though.
Oh, he did, until he fumbled me and cost me a game.
Getting out of New Orleans was the best possible thing that could have happened. He had two really good years in Miami, and then he had a really good year last year. So I'm trying to think of fits for MJD, though, because, he's not the same player he used to be, obviously.
No.
Maybe he could stay in state and go to Miami. They maybe
They do. Lamar Miller did not do what everyone expected him to do last year.
When he hits a hole, he's really good. That's the only problem is that they don't have a good enough offensive line to hit holes for him. That's the only thing. He's not going to break any tackles. He's not good juking guys. But once he hits a hole, he is good. That's his specialty. But yeah, that's their problem. They don't have a good enough offensive line. So Miami could be a fit for MJD. That's all I see him from. Do you think Darren McFadden leaves Oakland?
Yes.
Really?
I think I would leave Oakland if I was Darren McFadden, because you've been hurt every year in Oakland, and I don't think you're ever gonna have the chance to get fully healthy when you're getting banged up as much as Oakland does every game because their offensive line is awful.
Let's remember that with Darren McFadden, that he is good when he plays.
Oh, when he plays, he's great, but Oakland is not in a position to win, and if you know Darren McFadden, you know you're fragile. You know you're prone to injury. So if you're going to risk having your career cut short because you're going to be banged up for so long of your career that you're not going to be able to play for as long as other running backs, go to a team that's going to win.
I could agree with that. I could see him on a team, I honestly, like, even though they obviously invest a lot in Trent Richardson, a team like the Indianapolis Colts.
That's the thing. I was gonna say MJD to Indianapolis, but they invested so much in Trent Richardson that I think they cut themselves short on that deal.
I don't think Donald Brown goes back to Indianapolis. I think Donald Brown leaves for no team. I think he may get a hefty payday, actually. He had a decent year. He'll make some money, honestly.
He will.
I don't think he goes back to Indianapolis. I could see Donald Brown maybe going to a team like Arizona.
Okay.
Where he could definitely be a starter. And not have Trent Richardson breathing down his neck. I could see McFadden and maybe Richardson has 1-2 punch. If neither is the full-time starter, if Richardson's struggling, you give the job to McFadden. And if McFadden gets hurt, you have Richardson. So
now I ask you, does Rashad Jennings go back to Oakland?
I think he does, because that's where he had his best season.
Yes.
So
that's one where I agree.
That one makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Ben Tate. What do you think, Ben Tate? I mean, he's gonna get money, which he's good when he plays, but he's never been a real full-time starter.
I see Ben Tate maybe going to Miami. That's where I see him going.
I mean, I would love for maybe even my New York Giants to make.
That's the thing. That's another one. The New York Giants. I think he wants to go to a team where he'll compete for the starting job, and frankly, he can win it because he's started in spots for Houston when Arian Foster's been hurt. But granted, Ben Tate was banged up this past season as well. But I see him going to a team. I think a team like a Miami. I also think a team like maybe a Cleveland would benefit from him. But I mean, I think he wants to go somewhere where he have the chance to start. He's done with that being the designated number 2.
With my Giants, I think the Giants, they have to get a running. People don't realize how bad their running back situation. They had 7 different guys start running back for them last year.
That's pretty bad.
7 guys.
That's pretty bad.
Due to injuries. David Wilson had neck surgery. Even when he is healthy, he's not a sure thing. Andre Brown did not have. I mean, he was good in his first 3 games back, but after that, he wasn't really even on the team, it seemed like.
I mean, Patriots got 4 running backs. You want one of them?
Peyton Hillis is not the answer. If I'm the New York Giants, though,
biceps.
Granted, if he can stay healthy, I think the perfect answer. I felt like I was talking like Gruden there for a second. The perfect answer for the New York Giants would be no Sean Moreno.
Yes.
I think that from what Ben McAdoo I heard, really likes Moreno. So Moreno being from New Jersey too, I really think that does make a lot of sense.
Coming home.
I would hope so. I would hope the Giants can get no Sean Moreno, but then they got to draft a running back somewhere in the draft. There is no real guy worth taking a number 12 overall.
Exactly. The running backs in this draft are not that high profile, if you will.
But especially the way it worked out with the last running back they took in the first round. No. I mean, Wilson is not going to be ready for this year. Even when he is, I knew the fumbles were going to be a problem last year. I knew he was either going to be really bad or really good, and he turned out to be really bad. So he may never be able to play again. Because if he gets one bad hit, he could be paralyzed. So
speaking of, at least granted, we didn't even mention this. Peyton Manning was cleared to play this upcoming season.
And he is playing.
So good for Peyton. Good for the Denver Broncos. It's good for football. Yes. Frankly, it's good for football. So good for him. I'm happy for him.
I love Peyton Manning. He's very hard not to like Peyton Manning. Even as a Patriots
I only know one person who dislikes Peyton Manning. He's a media person. I only know one person, friends with him on Facebook.
Okay. This free agent class in quarterbacks is a weak class. Michael Vick being the headliner. Where do you see Michael Vick ending up?
All right, listen. Watch out, New York Jets. I'm telling you right now. I think the Jets will look at him. I think he'll be intrigued because I honestly think he has a chance to start because I think Geno didn't show anything last year to show confidence in him. Granted, I don't think he'll be a great fit in New York, but I think he'd get the guarantee to play if he went and performed well in training camps and preseason.
Well, like I said, made the Marty Morningway connection with Jason Avant. You can make the Marty Morningway connection.
Exactly. But, otherwise, I don't see many fits for Michael Vick in this style he plays.
I do see a fit.
Where? Educate me.
The Cleveland Browns. They need a quarterback. Why not?
I mean,
let's be real here too. If they have talent on that team.
Josh Gordon.
Enough
said.
I think they need to re-sign T.J. Ward.
Yes,
you have to overpay to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
They just franchised Alex Mack. You got Joe Thomas locked up, and then they have Jordan Cameron. Very good tight end.
He struggled at the end of the season though.
But he had a monster like first 10 games,
yes.
First 10 to 12 games of the year. So with that, I think that honestly, if you're the Browns, you have to go after Michael Vick.
I would look at Michael Vick. I think Brian McCown though, also coming from Chicago. Josh McCown. Why did I call him Brian? I don't know.
I'm thinking Brian McCann.
Brian McCann. There you go. Switching sports, but no, Josh McCown. I think he earned money playing the way he did with Chicago.
I think that was. You think that was just a system adjustment though?
I don't know. I honestly think he played well. I really think that he earned a chance to go somewhere and compete for a spot.
I mean, during his 12 years or whatever he was in the NFL, he was never that good.
No, I know. I know, but he's been in the league so long now that he knows what it takes. He's not going to do anything flashy, but he's going to do the small things that you need to just move a team down the field and score. Because they scored a lot with him on the floor. There was no drop off in offense when Josh McCown started compared to Jay Cutler.
That is, actually McCown played better than
exactly.
Cutler, so the state of the Bears, man. I don't know what to make of them. I think if they just had a good coach, they would be so competitive every single year. Mm-hmm. They're always right there. It just seems like they can never go over the edge with the Chicago Bears.
I mean, how often is it that their defense lets them down? And that's what happened last year.
And I mean, they got the beast receivers in Marshall and Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen's no longer on the team. I'm sorry.
Greg Olsen's on Carolina.
Got very confused. Martellus Bennett had a solid season for them last year, and Matt Forte had a good year last year. Was not injury last year as he normally is. Their offensive line wasn't as bad as it was last year.
Again, they had a lot of improvements on the offensive end, but the defensive end took a big step backwards.
I honestly, people didn't talk about Brian Urlacher though. He was the leader of that defense. Was his skill diminishing? Yes, but he was their leader. Mm-hmm. It dearly affected them. I think they got to go defense in the first round no matter what. If I'm the Bears in the draft.
Now, I ask you this. With this Ray Rice scenario that's happening, does Baltimore look for a running back?
They said that they're going to keep him. I think Bernard Pierce is a solid backup option. So they said that they expect him to be on the team this year. They haven't cut him yet, so I don't see him going anywhere. Honestly, I think Baltimore really is the only fit for him. I think that the offensive line wasn't too good last year. Granted, they coincidentally have like the best guard in football, Marshall Yonda.
Mm-hmm. He's on my Madden team. He's fantastic.
Yes,
he's like a 96.
I mean, Michael Orr is just coincidentally for the movie with the Blind Side. Michael Orr is a right tackle. He's not a good left tackle in the NFL. So I think that right now, I think he just had a bad year last year. They were in such a transition period from not having Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, from so many familiar faces. So that was just their problem.
No, I got to ask you, the Harbaugh scenario in San Francisco, does that scare you at all? The reports that came out saying that he is wearing thin in the locker room.
I could see that, honestly. His show, his act, honestly, like, on the sideline. First off, it's really annoying, honestly, seeing him on the sideline. Mm-hmm. I hate playing the 49ers, honestly. We do play the 49ers this year. It's going to be at MetLife Stadium for once, finally. Because we remember going into this past year, we had played San Francisco so many times in San Francisco. Mm-hmm. His act, I can see it wearing thin, though. He's a very hard-nosed coach. But that just happens. Like, he's been a great coach since he's been there. He has. But I think that... he was terrible with the whole Alex Smith situation.
Yes.
He was like, Alex Smith is our starting quarterback.
No, he's not.
And you started Kaepernick. Rightfully so. Good.
No, he's not.
Good call, obviously.
Yeah.
Good call. But don't say Alex Smith was your starting quarterback and then start another guy when Alex Smith came back healthy.
Yeah.
So
speaking of San Francisco quarterbacks, Colin Kaepernick saying he's going to want $18 million in that range for his new contract. That's Tony Romo money.
Tony Romo actually just took a pay cut today.
Okay, well, I did not know that.
To help the Cowboys get under the salary cap.
Good
Coincidentally, they are still $11 million over, though.
That's awkward.
Yes.
But I tell you right now, I would not play Colin Kaepernick that much money.
No, I mean, Colin Kaepernick last year, he's always been a good runner. But notice, once Michael Crabtree came back, he had three. He needs good guys to throw, too. That's why. He had Bolden and Davis all last year, but he didn't throw. He only had the one great game against Green Bay.
Wasn't that was the first game of the season? Was his best passing game?
And then once Crabtree came back, and Manningham too. When you had Crabtree and Manningham, that's when he was really
with Bolden and Davis. Yeah,
with Bolden, he was doing really good. Then he was on fire. Then Manningham got hurt, and you realize, okay, he was still good. But when he had all four of the guys come out, San Francisco's got to add another wide receiver to help him out. I think, honestly.
You don't think re-signing Bolden's enough?
No, I don't.
Who do they go after?
Let's see on the free agency. They could always draft a guy, but let's see. I mean, they're obviously not going to go after like someone big time. Like like an Eric Decker.
You think an Avant would fit well in there? A role guy,
I could
reliable.
I'm looking at maybe they may go after Sidney Rice, the guy that just cut from
As
Seattle.
just got cut.
Because
talk about overpaying him.
But at the same time, they don't have a real slot receiver. So someone who fits, maybe Julian Edelman. I'm kidding.
No,
they're not going to pay him.
My darling.
He's going to get some money. So.
Oh God, I hope he stays with New England.
Looking at free agents right now, there's who guys who play a slot. Ted Ginn played there. Brendan LaFell, wide receiver out of Carolina. Dexter McCluster.
I think Kansas City really has to try and re-sign him. I think really badly.
Yeah, great punt returner.
Great punt returner. He's dynamic. He's a fantastic backup running back for Jamal Charles. I think that Kansas City really needs to try and re-sign him. I think if he goes anywhere, people will start to see how good he can be.
Yeah. And you know what? Yeah, he's a very good flex guy, as you would say, obviously in the NFL. But I think that they're going to go in the draft. Honestly, they have John Baldwin. Who, remember, they drafted AJ Jenkins, which I didn't even know who he was. And they took him in the first round, and they traded him to Kansas City for John Baldwin, who's no longer on the team. And I don't think Jenkins is either in Kansas City anymore. So, coincidentally, they were both bad picks, and they traded them. So, he's not. I think they need a slot receiver. Then Kaepernick will then put up the good throwing numbers in addition to the running numbers. One guy they need to keep up with LaMichael James, though. They need to develop him because their running back, they're really just power running backs they got.
Frank Gore
is on his last leg. He's on his last leg. Kendall Hunter is like a Frank Gore part 2, just not as good. Then there's Anthony Dixon, who is nothing really special. But then you got like Michael James, a real speedster.
Yeah.
So I would really look into developing LaMichael James because I think
he's also a very good receiving running back.
He'd be great in that read option offense if they can continue it. He's a great read option running back because they showed in the playoffs last year. So I mean, they're obviously a dangerous team.
And give another passing thought to Kaepernick if he's on the field.
Yeah, I think
because you got to count from out of the back.
I think in the first round, coincidentally, I think they're going to look defense though in the first round.
I mean, that's crazy. They won the top defenses. They're going to add to it.
I mean, honestly, I don't really see them taking a receiver in the first round unless someone like Marquise Lee falls to them.
Drops to them, yeah.
Yeah, which makes sense. Stays in California, but for the most part, they're one of the favorites going in next year. They were in a play away from a Super Bowl this year. A great Richard Sherman play. They're going to be highly motivated this year. Now, I'll ask you a different question. If you were the NFL, would you schedule the Seahawks to play the 49ers on opening night?
That's a good one.
I would not, honestly, though, because I would want more of a build-up for that game. That's why.
That's a good one.
I would want more of a build-up, honestly.
All right, let me. I'm gonna think about this one for a second. It's gonna be like a division game.
I mean, but the Denver Broncos are visiting the Seattle Seahawks.
I mean that'll be a great game, obviously.
I don't know if that would really be a great game.
I mean, I would hope it's better than the Super Bowl.
Yes.
I'd be okay with that opening day.
I wouldn't mind.
I really would be okay.
San Francisco and Seattle?
I really would be. That would really draw my attention. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
That's pretty awesome.
I wouldn't surprise me, honestly, but
I mean, last year we had a playoff rematch in Green Bay and San Francisco. Their opening weekend.
No, but the opening game was Denver and Baltimore.
I know, but opening weekend still, it was a great matchup for San Francisco first week. I would be okay with that.
Let's hope that baseball doesn't get in the way this time. By the way, of the home team having the game.
I
thought that it was a travesty that
was.
the Ravens had to open up on the road last year.
It was.
I thought that was a travesty, honestly.
It was.
But Dennis Pitta re-signed yesterday, so the tight end's a weak market, it seems like.
Yeah.
So, and that's really all I have to say about free agency, honestly. I mean, I'm looking at the list here. I mean, there's no really. The list I'm seeing here has no defensive players on. So, because it seems like the real defensive player, it seems like Jairus Byrd is going to be a hot commodity. Because he's not going back to Buffalo, it seems like.
And Aqib Talib coming off of New England.
And he'll go back to New England. That's where he had his best years.
I really hope he does. Otherwise, I think the Patriots defense takes a huge steps back.
Absolutely.
But according to ESPN, as of 4 hours ago, Jairus Byrd is opening to coming back to Buffalo.
Yeah, he's open to it. He just hasn't taken any offer they've given him.
That's true.
I mean, he's good, but I don't know how. I mean, he's definitely a good player. He's been a staple for that defense, but they're not that far off. I think from being good. I mean, they've got a couple. They definitely have talent. But, I mean, is E.J. Manuel the answer? Who knows?
He didn't play enough last year to find out.
He played good in some games, though. He really did. They got
played great against New England.
They have a great pass rush, the Buffalo Bills.
Oh,
a very good pass rush. Kiko Alonso was a great linebacker for them. And if they keep Jarvis Byrd, I mean, they're definitely a defense on the rise. And I think Jim Schwartz will be a good defensive coordinator for them.
I agree. Listen, Buffalo is on the rise. They surprised people a little bit last year, but then fell off near the end. And Miami disappointed people last year with Lamar Miller, but still made a run to 500. So
the Pittsburgh Steelers should have been in the playoffs last year.
This is true.
Yeah,
that's true.
The two plays actually, when Antonio Brown stepped out of bounds on the great laterals,
and then the field goal missed,
and he didn't step out, and then the field goal. So that's two. They should have made no problem actually with those two.
See, it was
wins.
the third time's a charm. They needed a third crazy play to make the playoffs.
Yeah. But if Brown doesn't step out of bounds, they're in the playoffs.
It's true.
And I mean, I dominated my fantasy match, but I wouldn't have minded the extra 6 points that week.
Understood.
I'm just really mad I didn't win fantasy because I knew my team was so talented.
I came in second place for the second straight year. How do you think I feel?
I came in third.
Second straight year, coming in second place.
My fantasy team, it started off really bad. My team was at the end was killing it in points for. I had the most points for by far, but then I also had the second most points against. It seemed like
that's a struggle.
What I lost I was fairly even. I lost by like about 20 points in my playoff game because Andrew Luck in Week 16 in my semifinals in Week 16 only had 14 points against Kansas City. Peyton Manning though threw 4 touchdowns against the Texans, so that was a real difference maker. Other than that, it was even. And Edwin Baker of the Cleveland Browns took a touchdown away from Josh Gordon. So which Gordon? Oh man, that was a steal by me. I'll tell you that. But well.
Now you have to wait till next season.
I know. I'm telling you right now. I already have some guys in my head who I'm targeting. Like I'm gonna get Keenan Allen. I'm getting Keenan Allen. No one's taking him from me. Nobody. I mean, I wouldn't take Gordon in the high rounds. Honestly, I don't think he'll have as good a year. I'll tell you why I took Josh Gordon because I saw him make 2 plays against the Giants where he beat guys like that guy's got potential, and it worked out.
I'd say that it did.
I took a risk on Antonio Brown, saying it was like Wallace is going, maybe he'll be good. Only receiver in NFL history to have 5 catches for 50 yards a game. So, I mean, Julio Jones I originally took as my number 1 receiver, which was working out at the time.
It was until
and then he got hurt. He hurt his
foot. It was after the year.
He hurt his foot. Jamal Charles took number 4, great pick. Giovanni Bernard was a good pick. I somehow traded David Wilson for Ryan Matthews. Nice. And Ryan Matthews had a resurgent year too. And with them, Mike McCoy is just a good coach, man.
He is a very good coach. He's a very good coach. Well, that's all the time we got here on the BS Report. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, no, of course.
It is 9:06 in the evening. Watch out for these videos we put up on YouTube, on my blog, or Kevin will share them as well when I upload them, so stay tuned for that. For John Stickle, Kevin Barnett, this has been the BS Report on WICR.